Oh, hang on. I'll be back in a sec. Let me get my microphone. Actually, let me just do this. There. Let me just get this microphone on. Hopefully that sounds good. Give me a shout out in the comments if it's all sounding pretty good. Give me a shout out. Pretty good to me. Hello. Hang on a sec. I'm just going to share this to the Discord and we're going to try and figure out how to value horses. Sounds pretty good. Awesome. Thanks, John. Better Financial Partners. Than as well. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Than. If you know me, I'm hopeless at pronouncing anything. Alright, we're going to try and nut out. One sec, I'll just share this. Is Grandeur worth $1 million? Oh, awesome. I got one right. Phew, thumbs up for me, Than. Awesome. I haven't seen you here before. Than, are you new to Zed Run? If you are, welcome. Welcome. It's a good, great little fun game. We're very early indeed. And in fact, one thing, whilst we're just waiting for a few other people to join us, I'll try and not get my jumper scrubbing. Oh, 1 week, yes, absolutely. And new welcome. Try and not get my jumper scrubbing my microphone here. Hang on. Whilst we're waiting, there's an interesting little sort of, I guess, psychological aspect to this game, and that is looking too far into the past. And it can almost cripple you or paralyze you if you look back and see what people were paying for, you know, Z1s or Z2s like 2 or 3 months ago, and you think, well, I'm not going to pay the prices that are being asked now because, you know, a month or two ago they were X value and now they're way too inflated, so I'll just wait until I get a better deal. Now, that might be a successful plan, but it also might paralyze you and leave you way behind. If we are only at the beginning of a bull run, and I'm not a financial advisor and I don't know where we are, this could, you know, it could ebb and flow and crash to no demand pretty quickly. But if we are only at the beginning and our user base goes from the 20,000 we have now to 100,000 in the next 6 weeks, then those prices may inflate even more. So again, not financial advice, but one of my strategies is to slowly buy in, you know, over a period of time and not invest all in one go. So it might be worthwhile sort of getting your toes dipped in just so that you feel safe and comfortable in this space. You've got a horse or two, and then over time just slowly buy a couple more, you know, and if the prices go up or down, you sort of average in. G'day Cameron, just new as well. Welcome. Yeah, so just be careful because if you look back at the prices of 2-3 weeks ago, you'll think, oh, could have got a Z10 for $40. Now people are asking $500. Now, you know, I probably wouldn't buy a Z10 for $500 on the aftermarket because you're going to be able to get one more than likely, more than likely at the next drop. Hopefully we can get them at the next drop. Who knows? It's a huge demand, but you should be able to get them if you get lucky for maybe 150, something like that. So we don't know how the next drop is going to work yet, but keep your eye on that. I think that's definitely the best place for the best value in horses, particularly Genesis horses. All right. How many we got? 7, 3 likes. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. Oh no, 17 3 likes. That's pretty ordinary. It's always a bit of a struggle to get you guys to like the video, isn't it? G'day, Than. Rolling Stones. We might do a bit of that later. Or we'll do a horse review again tomorrow. Hey, you guys, give me a few more likes. 7 likes, 18 viewers. All right, what we're going to talk about today, Tyler. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. I see you sold the Grandeur offspring, mate. Well done. Got a nice juicy price. Not as good as the price I got for my one, but you did all right. I think you sold it a fraction cheap, to be honest, but it is what it is. And it was a big chunk of change for the Grandeur offspring, and we'll be using those figures. I won't give out the exact figures, but we'll be using some of those approximate figures to work out what Grandeur is worth. And I'm pointing at the screen because I have Grandeur up on the other screen. Yeah, good idea, Cameron. At this stage, I think holding for the next drop is probably a really good option. I've got a lot of friends, or a few friends, that are looking to get in too, and that's the advice I'm giving: is wait for the next drop, try and get a few Genesis, see how you go from there. Cheap bred horse from Doofy, that's a good idea too, but they're under high demand too. Tyler had to pay a bill, mate. We know what that's like. Called life, isn't it? You know, life gets in the way. Mate, Tyler, get yourself another gun horse and we might be able to talk about doing another Grandeur breed in the future. Dan, thank you, mate. I appreciate you being here. What do I think? Okay, cut one question. I'll answer Criken's question. What do I think will happen with the announcement that they're going to try and make the drop fair for everyone? Well, I don't know. There was some info from Jay yesterday. I don't know how accurate it is, but he said that there's not going to be a queue system, which I'm a little disappointed about. I was hoping that was going to be implemented, so maybe it's a free-for-all. I hope it's not a free-for-all because, to be honest, the free-for-alls are not a good user experience. So maybe they're going to limit per wallet or per stable, because you can have more wallets than you have stables. It's very easy to generate new wallets. So I don't know. Per IP address maybe, but there's probably ways around that too, not that I know about. Corey, how much are you charging for the next breeding of Grandeur? We'll talk a little bit about that. Tyler, we are still doing a silly insane breed. Love that name. We're going to have some fun with that name. But Silly Samwise, beautiful horse. We're going to breed that with Insane Him. Hoping to get some sort of silly insane freak, aren't we, Tyler? How much am I charging for the next breeding of Grandeur? At this point, Corey, Grandeur is being kept in-house as much as we possibly can and being bred with our own mares. And his offspring are going for somewhere around 4 to 5 Ethereum, roughly. All right. Now, oh, hello. Oh, my wife's calling. I'll ring her back. Live YouTube. Anyway, we'll see how we go with that. Okay, let's talk about. Yeah, Corey, thanks, mate. It's only good if someone's going to buy it, and that's what we're talking about today. What is the value of a horse like Grandeur? And I'm going to suggest that it could be up as high as $1 million already, USD. And a lot of you out there are going to be spitting your coffee out, just going, "Are you joking? You've lost your marbles, Sadsy. What's going on?" That horse can't be worth $1 million yet. But I would argue that for future income and a few other things that it probably already is. And let's have a look at that. We're going to crack the calculator out and we're going to do some numbers and see what those numbers come up to. Okay, so let's have a look at that. All right, let me switch screens here. Look at this beauty. Yeah, here he is. Here he is. Let's have a quick look at him in 3D. I quite enjoy this when I'm showing my friends. I tell them that Granger's one of my superstars, and then I'll parade him around on the mobile phone like this because it's a very impressive graphic in my opinion. I quite like it, and I love the way the horse's motion is very realistic to a beautiful thoroughbred. The way it's sort of a little bit clunky when they're walking and beautifully graceful when they're running. All right, so Absolutely. Can we back from that? How do we get out of here? We hit that. All right. Let's have a think about how might we value this horse, and then as a consequence of that, how might we value all horses, and particularly the ones in Grandeur's bloodline. I'll come back, guys. I'll come back. Drop some questions in there. I'll come back. I see Eddie has dropped a question, and Trillion, and a few others. So I'll try and come back to some of those if they're relevant. But for the time being, Eddie, are you offering 500k? I would certainly think about it, but I'll show you why that might be a low ball. Well, not a low ball. It's a very good offer, but why we might be silly to accept that right now. Okay, so let's run through. I said that Grandeur might be worth $1 million, maybe 500,000 is probably more realistic right now. And it's due to a couple of things, mainly future income, and then we've also got things like race winning percentage. Okay, so he's an elite Z1 stallion. There's no arguments about that. He's one of the elite Z1 stallions. You can also put the odds into that. If it's a horse that has only got 5 or 10 races, then the odds become more of a factor. But with Grandeur, he has a 200 race history, as you can see here. 203. He is, I believe, the only, well, I'm pretty sure about this, he's the only Genesis Z1 with more than 200 races and a winning percentage above 25%. He may even, in fact, be the only horse, full stop, with over 200 races and a winning percentage above 25. Now, I don't think that is the case. I'm sure there's a few other horses that have a higher winning percentage over 200 races. But I believe he is the highest Z1 at that level. So CP, that's what makes him elite, is that winning percentage over a long race career. So when I say long, 200 is not going to be long in the future, but 200 at the moment is one of the most raced horses. That would put him in the top, I would say, 10% of races run, and then he has a winning percentage of 25%. Of course, Jack, yeah, absolutely. That includes free races. It's unfortunate that we can't see his prize money from this screen right now. Grandeur, I would say, can I look? Yeah, I can have a look on my stats sheet just so you guys can see how many free races he's run. I would guess his free racing is probably around 40% of that. Let me have a look. Let me see if this shows here. Let me see if the numbers stack up to 203 first. Let me do some quick numbers here. 1, 6, 7, 9, 23, 55, 55, 114, 129. Yeah, very close. Those numbers add up to 202. 202, so we're missing one for some reason there. And if I change that to just free, let's see how many are free. And I can tell you, according to my stats, actually he hasn't run a lot of free. I thought it would be more than this. He's only run 7, 9, 11, 22, 33, 34, 46 free races. So 3/4 are paid, and he's won nearly 0.8 Ethereum in prize money. Profit, not prize money won, but profit. Nearly, approaching the 1 Ethereum mark. Oh, there you go. John, you got access to the stats quicker than I do. My sheet is not designed to be doing that. Your stats are look to be 19% paid. Okay, well, maybe my stats are wrong. Maybe my stats are wrong. Because my stats are saying that he's only raced 46 races, which would put him at nearly 75%, 80% paid, and 20% free. I don't know. I've got no reason to suspect that mine are wrong, but maybe they are. Maybe they are. But in any case, He has won a lot of prize money in the paid stuff and does very, very well. Now, let's move along. Let's try and break this down. Let's grab the calc. Let's grab the calculator. Ah, 20%. Okay, 20% win rate in paid. That's about right. Yeah, that'd be about right. Yeah, so he's obviously in those 46 free races. Yeah, I can see his stats here actually. In fact, I can bring this over. Let me bring this over here. Okay, there you go. There's his free races. You can see he's a free race freak. 60%, 50, 50, 64, 27, 33, 100. So when he races the free stuff, he's absolutely a dominant horse. And you can see if we switch that to paid, got that 0.75 profit there. He hasn't run anything low. Yeah, I don't think he's a great short runner, to be honest. He's okay. But you can see at 1800 he's winning at 50%. Not really good here and here. You know, 15 is okay. 13, he's run most of his races at 22 and he's only running at 13%. So maybe we should pull him up there, but yeah, very, very good horse in any case. Oops. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to try and figure out roughly what he might be worth. Now, the biggest factor in what a horse is worth, in my opinion, is future income. Oh, yeah, Jack, interesting. Yeah, okay. Yeah. 20% in paid races, but wouldn't be the best for Z1. No, it wouldn't. I would say Breathless Edge, which is also my horse, would be mine and my brother's horse, would be the best Z1 winning percentage, bar none. And I think after that, it'd be close between Baroque and Grandeur. Baroque might be slightly in front. Jack, you can let me know. Who's better? I would say the top three are absolutely. Once you get over around that 200 race mark, is Breathless Edge, Grandeur and Baroque. Grandeur and Breathless being the two stallions and Baroque being a mare. Okay, there you go. Nailed it. I nailed it without even looking up the stats. Breathless, 22% tied with Baroque. There you go. They are the three standouts, and there's nothing else that really comes close in my opinion. They're the three standouts. There's a few more that are probably around the 18%, 15 to 18%, but yeah, they're the three standouts. Another Tyler Zamora. Tyler Zamora, great to have you here. 28%. I promise we're going to get to these stats in a minute. Okay, guys, let's do a little bit of audience feedback to help us with this price. So we got Grandeur, and then we got the offspring of Grandeur, the direct offspring, and Grandeur's grandkids are producing a few freaks. Now they're hard to find. I need a good stats guy to help me at some stage in the future. And I haven't pre-done this, but there is many, you can see there's many offspring, and you can see some of them are okay. 15% Omo Grandeur, Uncle Vibrant Grandeur, sevens, Grand Ether, not a great win rate, but doing very well in the seconds and thirds in the places. You know, we got a few 10s and 20s, but for me, the legends, and I've got a theory on why the legends are maybe not as good a racer as the exclusives and even the elites, and I'll go into that at a later date. But Grandeur's grandkids are performing reasonably well. There's a few monsters in there doing really, really well. So what would we think a Grandeur offspring would be worth? What would you pay on OpenSea for a Grandeur offspring, for a Grandeur grandkid, say unraced, unbred grandkid, just fresh Grandeur grandkid. Now, I don't think many people would pay half an Ethereum, okay? But what about 0.15? I reckon most of you would be like, yep, give me a Grandeur grandkid for 0.15. And I think 0.2 or 0.25 are within reality as well. What do you guys think? Do you think that's a fair price? Give me a yes or a no. We haven't got there, Eddie Wu, if 500k is a low ball. We're getting there now. $15. You'd pay $15 for a grandeur grandkid. Okay, you won't be getting a grandeur grandkid for $15. Yeah, that's what we're getting to, Eddie. You're on the right track there, mate. You got a yep, 0.2. I agree, Baroque is pretty ridiculous. 0.2. All right, let's call it. 0.2 is roughly fine. Okay, let's call it 0.2. So let's say we got a grandeur grandkid. He's a stallion grandkid, unbred, and we're suggesting that you might be able to get him for 0.2. Okay, all right. Now that helps our equation. As we move up that scale, let's keep 0.2 in mind. As we move up that scale, we go to Granger's direct offspring. Okay, so Granger just recently had a breed. We produced 7 offspring. 1 got sniped, 1 got stolen in the breeding barn, and I love public breeding for that exact reason, because this horse here, Uncle Vibrant Granger, excuse me, was sniped for $400 US. That offspring is probably worth at least 3 Ethereum. All right, at least. And what's 3 Ethereum? $7,500 US currently. All right, so they've done exceptionally well just through being lucky and being there at the right time. Okay, but we'll get there in a minute, why that is worth maybe 3 Ethereum. So we got 0.2. We got 0.2 as a base level. Now 0.2, if you're creating offspring, let's go 0.2 by 7, 1.4 per month. Now we'll call it 1.2 in profit that you could sell these offspring for. Okay, 1.2 in profit that you could sell these offspring for. Now, then it comes down to, so you're making over 1 Ethereum on this one offspring. So just to keep in mind where we're at the level of Granger's direct offspring, his kids, and we're saying that you can sell his grandkids for 0.2. So if he's a male and you can sell 7 of them, you can make over 1 Ethereum a month from your investment. Now, have a look around. I am not a financial advisor. Do not take this as financial advice. But have a look around and have a think about how many other investments, you know, this may be a risky investment, absolutely, but how many other investments can you get a 1 Ethereum return roughly per month on an investment of, say, 3 or 4 Ethereum? We're talking a 25% return per month. Okay, now granted, you need to have 3 to 4 fillies to fulfill those grandkid orders yourself. Okay, but if you do, 1 Granger offspring can produce 7 Granger grandkids worth 0.2 a month, which is going to give you a return of about 1 to 1.2 Ethereum per month. So you will have your, if we then reverse that and say, well, what's a Granger offspring worth? Well, I think they're worth 3, 4, maybe 5 Ethereum, depending on the quality of the racing ability. Okay, maybe even slightly more. If you get an absolute freak, I've got one of my favourites here is called Oh My Grandeur. Okay, Oh My Grandeur, who is actually the same colour as Grandeur and has a very good early win rate. And this will be the one I'll be using to progress that bloodline. And I wouldn't sell that one for more than 6 or 7, maybe even 8. Okay, so with that in mind, we can work our way back up. So you've got the grandkids selling for 0.2, returning, you know, upwards of 1 ETH profit per month, potentially. Maybe that market runs dry, we don't know. But for the time being, I think that market is pretty solid. So thereby, your investment of 4 or 5 Ethereum for a Granger direct offspring is probably going to return its value within 4 to 5 months. Okay, and then it's just pure profit from there. Plus you also retain the original value of the original offspring. So if Granger's direct offspring can fetch 4 to 5 Ethereum, okay, what is Granger worth? So if Granger's offspring can fetch 4 or 5 Ethereum, let's say 4, let's say 4 to keep it there, times 7, Granger could produce potentially, if I was to sell them all, and if that market stays at that level, there's no guarantee that market demand will stay there. It might fade off because we are talking big dollars. For Ethereum is not chump change. But 28 ETH per month, okay? And then, well, let's call it 25 profit. Let's say 25 Ethereum per month in profit for Granger. Then it becomes a factor of, if I was to sell Granger, how much of that future profit do I want up front to sell him on? How much of that future profit do I want up front? Now, I think in this market it's pretty risky. So I think, you know, in real business with an established business that's unlikely to go bust or have kind of, you know, things change rapidly, you know, we're in a fairly liquid environment or a fairly fluid environment. Can change pretty rapidly, which could affect the future price. So I think somewhere around 6 months is probably fair. Would I sell for 6 months future profit of Granger? You know, probably not. But if we times that by 6, this will give us a rough value. You got 150 times 2.5. Well, it's not 2,500. We'll call it 2,000 for an ETH price. 330,000, I think, is probably the fair price for Granger right now, roughly. Well, in actual fact, you need to also take into account that that's actually a bit of a package price, package value, because that's Granger plus the 4 fillies that I need to fulfill the 7 offspring per month. So Granger probably makes up 75% of that, I guess, times 0.75. You know, roughly about 250 grand he would be worth for, you know, reclaiming that money within 6 months. Now, to add to that though, you need to add certain premiums as well, like the fact that he is a Genesis Zed 1, so the most desirable of the Genesis. The colour is not a huge factor. The name, it's a pretty cool name, Grandeur. So there's some other factors in there. Would I sell for 250? No way would I sell for 250. Absolutely not. I'm quite happy to hang on for 6 months and continue to collect and breed and see what happens. So to steal one of these horses away from me, you would need to pay certainly above that 6 months future income. If that makes sense. Guys, okay, so if that makes sense. So if the grandkids are selling for 0.2, then the direct offspring are roughly around 4 to 5 ETH, and that puts Granger around that $250,000 US as a fair price. You know, if I was looking to buy, I think, you know, it would take a certain gutsy person to shell out 250,000 on a project that's this early, but if I was looking to buy, that would be the range. You know, I'd be looking to probably buy at about 150 to 250,000. I probably wouldn't because, you know, I don't need to, but that's the way it goes. Let me have a look if there's any questions. Okay, so that's one way you can value your horses, okay? Have a look at what the offspring are worth, okay, and then sort of do those numbers up. You can times the offspring by 7, get a rough monthly profit if it's a stallion. If it's a mare, you get the times by 2. But yeah, you can get that roughly monthly profit and then have a look how much of that monthly profit do you want in advance to sell that horse. Okay, and that's a reasonable way of figuring out what these are worth. Yeah, right, you're right, Eddie. And then we haven't even calculated into that race profit. I'm not currently running Grandeur at the moment because I don't think he can continue to win at 25%, and I want to hold those stats there because I also don't think that anyone else, any other Z1, is going to be able to reach that level. okay, unless we have a complete reset, and then I'll be back racing with the rest of the crowd. But you know, as good a horse as Grandeur is, the reason he has those lofty stats, or one of the reason, is because he was racing when the fields weren't as strong as they currently are. So, do I think he's a 25% horse? Probably not. Do I think he's a 20? I think we said 20% in paid races. Maybe, maybe not. But I think he is a quality. He's in one of the. He's one of the top 5 Z1 stallions for sure. But I don't think I could replicate or maintain those stats if I kept racing. Yeah, I agree, Jack. The money is in breeding, not racing. After we did those numbers, Eddie, I don't think 500k is a low ball. I think it would certainly have me thinking about it. It would certainly get me thinking about it. But anything under 500k, I'd probably just sit and wait and just breed and see what happens, because of the fact that, you know, I could potentially breed 7 horses a month. Let's say we lose one. I could keep 2 or 3 myself, sell 2 or 3, or 3 or 4, and you'd be making 15 or 16 Ethereum a month, okay? And that's a pretty incredible return on investment, if you ask me. And that's one of the big things. If you look around, again, not financial advice, but if you look around and you're looking for a place to park some Ethereum that gives you a really nice yield, you won't find much better places, I don't believe, than parking it in Zed Run. Now, don't take that as financial advice, because anything could happen. Anything could happen. Yeah, Eddie, you're on the right money, mate. You know what's going on. 10 months of selling offspring is all you'd need to do, absolutely. And then as long as you can maintain that level for the next 10 months, and I think we're in a particularly golden period myself, where over the next 6 months or so, we're going to see pretty big growth. That would be my guess. We're going to see pretty big growth, and you're going to be able to maintain those offspring sales for the next 6 or 10 months without too much dramas, is my guess. Without too many dramas is my guess. Now, anything could change, we don't know, but that would be what I'm looking at for the next 6 months myself. Steph Curry, very good horse. Now, the other thing we need to look at as well, okay, so when it comes to selling horses, is one of the big factors is breed type. Okay, so is it a Genesis? Because Genesis look to be keystones for breeding. Okay, they are the way we get the original, you know, genes down from the game into the bred horses. So that means, in my opinion, horses like Legends, Exclusives, Elites, and further down into the Crosses and Paces, you are able to replicate or duplicate those horses somewhat into the future. So if you've got a really incredible bred horse like Steph Curry, then that's great, but who's to say that in the next 2-3 months that same bloodline doesn't replicate another 2 or 3 of those, okay, which is then going to eat into the value of your Steph Currys. And that's the interesting dynamic. As this game progresses, you can duplicate that bloodline. So the value of those Legends, Exclusive, Elites is somewhat more shaky the further we get into the game. Now, that value could go up, because if we find out that Steph Curry can in fact maintain that winning percentage and potentially is a great breeder as well into the future, then the value of that horse will go up. But if we find out that that's the new normal, then the value of that horse comes down as more similar horses come into the market. Okay, so that's interesting. Whereas Genesis, they have a premium because there will only be 38,000 Genesis. They look to be relatively important in the breeding aspect. In fact, significantly important in my opinion. And there is only those 38,000 of those. So I think they will continue, again, not financial advice, absolutely, but I think they will continue to appreciate as we move into the game and discover the importance of them. You could fractionalise grandeur. Yeah, I could, but that's too much. That's a pain in the butt, in my opinion. I wouldn't bother. Trillion. Do I see any value in great grandkids? Yeah, of course. Now, a lot of people are breeding, are grabbing the races that are not particularly strong and breeding them and finding that there are some genes being skipped or passed down and getting, you know, some particularly strong races from not strong racing parents. And that's interesting. Now, that's not my tactic. I'm trying to breed and then keep the absolute best races and then breed them down the line into the best races of the next generation, into the best races of the next generation, into the best races of the next generation. Now, it's going to take me a lot longer to do that, but we are seeing some skip generations and some very good races from ordinary parents. So, yeah, absolutely. As you come down the line, depending on how those breed lines go and depending on whether there is a history of producing good races at that generation. So if you're talking great grandkids and there's already been 14 great grandkids being produced and 5 of them are running at, you know, 10 to 15% win rate, then you have a good chance that the next unbred, unraced grandkid is also going to be a reasonable racer. What if they are cross level? We don't know. I don't think anyone knows enough about breed type down at the cross level to know whether that's going to be producing a high percentage of quality races. We just don't know. But yeah, give them a shot. Who knows? You've got to try these things. Martin says, with that point on the money being in breeding rather than racing, doesn't that mean that we will quickly reach some kind of saturation point? You're on the money there, mate. The point being some kind of saturation point. You are going to reach a saturation point of ordinary races being bred and sold because everyone at the moment is like, the money's in breeding. Let's just breed, 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 sell, sell, sell. Yes. So absolutely the saturation point on ordinary average offspring is going to be reached really, really quickly. That's why you need something desirable, something special, something unique that the saturation point won't be reached on. For example, Grandeur himself producing 7 offspring a month. If I'm only selling 3 or 4 of those and we have a user base in 4 or 6 weeks of 100,000 people, it's going to take a heck of a long time to reach that saturation point because a lot of those 100,000 people will recognise that, you know, Grandeur has great genes, he's producing pretty good races, or maybe in some circumstances really, really great races, and they want to be a part of that, and they also want to be a part of selling the grandkids at point 2. Now at point 2, how long will it take for those grandkids to reach saturation point? Again, I think they're going to be desirable enough because they have a special trait of being Granger's grandkids, which is fairly unusual in this market. Keep in mind, most of the offspring being sold are just being sold from relatively ordinary bloodlines that don't have a history of winning. So yeah, those bloodlines without a history of winning will reach their saturation point really, really quickly. But I think those unique ones with a history of winning and a really strong bloodline will hold their value or maybe even go up in value as the user base goes up because there's only going to be a limited number of those horses. Again, not financial advice. Okay, hopefully that answered the question. Guys, Martin, you're on the same, I'm with Criken, just trying to get my head around why people will continue to pay those prices if so many horses are out there. It's not, okay, the horses in general, there's going to be a lot of cheap horses in general that don't have elite bloodlines. That's where the prices are going to vary, is the fact that if you want an elite bloodline, you're going to have to pay for it, okay? There's no two ways around that. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Well, as a racer, you can't 1,000 horses without automated tools. So that's why the money is in breeding, because 1,000 people can race 1 horse apiece, no problem. Yeah, I agree. The money's in breeding. But not in, I think the money in ordinary breeding, you're going to find that it's going to be a struggle pretty soon. In fact, you might even find that within the next few months that it might be hard to even get your money back on some breeds because there is so many and the market is so flooded. I think you've probably got a bit of a period where you can breed pretty much anything and make some money, but I think that's going to be short-lived, and then it's going to be about, number one, proving that your bloodlines can produce elite races. That's not proven with Grandeur as yet to a really strong degree. It's starting to develop. There's some grandkids that are absolutely phenomenal, but we need to really prove that. And then once we can prove that, 1 in 10, 1 in 5, or whatever it might be, along this particular bloodline is likely to be a really great racer, then that's where the premiums start developing, okay? So if you're buying into a really great bloodline, you're buying into that bloodline to have an elite racer potentially, but also to be able to breed your way to more elite racers and then be able to sell them as well. That's my opinion on that. So yes, the market will flood, but it probably won't flood in the areas where there's a limited amount of elite horses or elite blood. And to some degree you would argue, and I think Zed Gazette's going to give me a hard time here because he always does, you could argue that Grange's already got 40 offspring out there, so that bloodline is already somewhat diluted into the market, but I would argue that the majority of those early races, or those early offspring, sorry, is a better way, these ones here, are bred somewhat blindly with horses that don't have, you know, really great genes. I am now carefully breeding, tongue twister, I am now carefully breeding Grandeur with the best fillies, mares that I can find. I've got a couple of really great fillies in my own stable. I'm also sourcing other fillies from outside. So I think you'll find that the bloodlines that I'm now developing are going to be much stronger than what some of these earlier ones were. If that's going to be a thing, I'm not sure, who knows. Let's see what my old mate ZG, Zed Gazette's got going on. Bit of a shout out for Zed. He's a good mate of mine. He does incredible stuff for the community. Jump over and check out, I think it is zedgazette.com for some incredible content. Before we get to Zed, we got Scott. Would you value a mare with unraced offspring the same you'd value a filly? Maybe. I think Genesis unraced unbred are potentially more valuable than Genesis unraced and bred, in my opinion. It's like buying a collectible toy or something. If you get that toy in in mint condition, but it doesn't have the box, it's been taken out of the box, but it's in mint condition, then it's going to be a certain value. But if you can get that toy mint condition in the box, never opened, then it's going to be more valuable potentially. So I think the unraced unbred are potentially more valuable than the unraced and bred horses are. Okay. Grandeur, Zed Gazette says, Grandeur, definitely an awesome horse. Thanks, mate, appreciate it. I wish I was into the twin theory when I made Wildfire. Yeah, okay, so Wildfire, where's Wildfire? I did see him before. Wildfire, is he right up the top here somewhere? Anyway. Wildfire might be a grandkid, is he? I think he might be a grandkid. Oh, no, there he is. This is Zed Gazette's horse, is it, mate? Oh, not anymore, maybe. Yeah, oh, man, what a beautiful set of bloodline that is. And actually, look at the offspring it's producing. High-quality offspring grandkids from this particular bloodline. The mare itself, Wildfire, the stallion itself, Wildfire, is not great. 40 races, no wins. That's not great. But look how the blood's coming down. You're getting 11%, 8%, 9%, 12%, 7%. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. Mate, I tell you what, Zed, let's work something out and we'll do I know you're very protective of Supreme Polarity and I really want to get in there, but we could do a 2 breed for you 1 month and a 2 breed for me. So you end up getting those, we both get a set of twins. Let's chat. We could chat about that. Supreme Polarity is one of the premium Z2 mares out there. I don't know of many better, to be honest. So breeding any old poo will not pay off for the long... Well, I don't know, Martin. I really don't know if breeding rubbish horses is going to be a long-term theory. I think if the skip gene theory is a thing, you could potentially go good horse, bad horse, good horse, bad horse, good horse, bad horse through the generations. But look, the reading that I'm doing on genetics and breeding racing horses, for example, would suggest that the better long-term solution might be if you're able to, and I'm in a unique position where I have these good horses and I can sift through the offspring to some degree and keep only the very, very best, then that might be a better solution or a better way of going about things in the long term. But it's not a viable strategy for almost everybody, because when you're paying 3 or 4 Ethereum for a grandeur offspring, if you're loaded with dollars, come to me and say, look, I'm going to buy all 7 grandeurs offspring next month off you and get a deal. I might be able to do a particular low price, and then you can sift through those ones. But that's not going to be a strategy that everyone can go at, for sure. Dave, do we know if the type of racer finishing first last is passed down? I would assume so. I would assume there's some sort of consistency gene there. Consistency is probably not the right word. Like performance deviation gene. That seems to be a thing, because you've got horses. There's a lot of Z1 horses that will finish between positions 3 and 8, for example, and they have a very, very narrow deviation of performance. Then you get horses like Ducky Malone that tends to finish first or last and has a very wide deviation of performance. So I would suggest that that's something that can be passed down for sure. BJ? Checking in, how are we all? We're all pretty good, mate. Zed Gazette likes the old twins theory with grandeur and supreme, mate. Absolutely, I do too. I think there's a benefit to producing 2 offspring at the same time when you get that opportunity, because often you'll get, and I've seen this from even way 6 months ago. For example, when I bred one of the original just absolute monster horses, which was Ace King. I bred 2. I had, I think it was No Limit, was Ace King's sister or brother. No Limit wasn't much chop, but Ace King was an absolute monster. So often you'll get one that grabs, the bad half of the genes, if you like, and then one that grabs the good half of the genes. Or there's no, you could absolutely get 2 horses that grab kind of mediocre genes as well. That could be a thing. Daniel, will there be any value in breeding an extremely good elite horse? Breeding from an extremely good elite horse, or breeding to an extremely good elite horse? I think, look, if I was to have a punt in the dark, I think elite might be where we find the really, really good races. Okay? If you look at how breeding may work, you bring them down, you come to legends. Legends seem to be the breeding seeds, if you like, where you bring the genes from the genesis down. Now, for me, I don't think you'll see too many really, really great racing horses at the legendary level as we move forward. I think you'll start seeing some really good racing genes as we come to the exclusive level. And then as you start to combine the best genetics into that exclusive level, I think you'll eventually cross to elite, and I think elite could be the first level where you try and condense or consolidate the genes above into one really great horse. And then I think you can also add some more genetics into the elite level. And then Zed Gazette is a big believer, or at least he used to be a big believer in the crossbreed being another great place to sort of combine all of those genes together into great races. So I myself think the elite will be where you'll find most of the great races, and you might find a few sort of cross and exclusives either side of the elite being really, really good. But if I was to have a punt in the dark, I think elite is where it's going to be at. Yeah, Tyler, theory about Zabos being good first and last horses. Doofy thinks the same thing, and there's some reasonably good data to back that up with horses like Ducky Malone and a few others. So absolutely, they might have the inconsistency gene that we want to breed. You know, potentially Nakamoto's breeding knack into knack into knack into knack might produce really good gun races that have a really high consistency level, but maybe to keep them in the lower grades, Zabos might be the go. Yeah, Silly Samwise and Ducky are both big first and lasts. Yeah, absolutely. Pump in the dark. Sounds a bit how you're going, doesn't it? I do like a bit of a pump in the dark. Zed Gazette though. Shot in the dark. That's what I meant. Just getting my words tangled up. Bit of a shot in the dark. I think I said punt. Have a punt in the dark. So a punt without any information, but pump in the dark sounds more fun. Yeah, interesting. I think don't all the horses jump? Is Wildfire. I think all the horses jump at some stage, but maybe the Zabos are better jumpers. It'll be really interesting. Aussie slang. Pump's good. Punt does sound very similar when I say it, doesn't it? I was wondering what the owners of a horse like I-95 would do breeding-wise. Let's have a look at I-95. Let's have a look at a couple of horses. We'll leave that there. Throw up a couple of horses, put a few horses' names up there. We'll look at 4 or 5 and then we'll call it a day. I-95. I've heard a lot of people talk about this, but I haven't looked at it. It's a Finny colt, 22%, looking good. Elite. Okay, so it's an elite colt, so yeah, it's going to move into the cross realms, regardless of what you breed this horse with next. It will go to cross at best. Here we go, look at this, boom, boom, boom. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this horse breeds. Has it bred already? No, it hasn't. It looks to be a very nice horse. It'll be interesting to see how this breeds. How those crosses develop. I think you are going to be able to get very, very good cross horses, but whether that's a case of just breeding this elite with another Genesis filly, or whether it's about, and I think the future is, and it makes sense, because just breeding this with another Genesis filly would, and that was as good as you can get, wouldn't make much sense, because we would be nearing the pinnacle of the game without even getting out of beta. But what I think is going to be the case is you're going to have these big strings of family trees of this really complex sort of bringing the best bloodlines down, 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 down. And by the time you get to elite, you want to have 2 elites that have the absolute best blood within them and then cross them over to the crossbreed. Okay? So for example, you might bring a Grandeur breed all the way down, and you might bring a Breathless Edge breed all the way down to elite, and then cross those 2 together into crossed and see what happens there. Now, it's probably not going to be that simple either, but yeah, absolutely. I think that sort of very specific breeding and very careful breeding to keep the best races in at each level is how I'll be looking at it. Cadet, let's have a look at Cadet. Amoralis, if that's how you say it. Another good racer here. Legendary. Okay, so this is an exciting horse. You know, you got a Z7 Legendary producing 17% win rate. That's really, really nice. I think finding legends. Now, this is another thing. If you can't afford the best Genesis horses, that's okay. Not everyone can. But, well, again, not financial advice, just to make that clear. But one of my next tactics would be chasing really, really great legendaries, because I think legendaries are almost as good as Genesis in the breeding spectrum, particularly the ones that have really, really great racing ability. Okay, let's see if this horse is already producing something reasonable from its offspring. Hard to tell. Looks like we've got a couple of unraced. This one here at 6% is not bad. Okay, so that will be interesting as well. Nice horse though. Steph Curry, we looked at Steph Curry the other day, so we won't look at him or her again. I'm assuming it's maybe a him. Night Train. Jump back a couple of videos and you'll find the one, maybe. I don't know which video it was. Night Train. This one's too early, to be honest. It's too early to tell. 5 races, 2 wins. Let's have a look at its odds. I updated my sheet the other day, so it should be... No, the odds might not be accurate because they went missing for a while, but yeah, I mean, it's okay. $10 is not great. $10 is not great odds. Oh. Oh, hello. What have we lost here? What have we lost? Come back, come back, come back. Where are you? Here we go. Yeah, $10 is not great. I wouldn't be getting overly excited about $10 odds myself. Wow, we got 56 viewers. Hello, 56 viewers. 25 likes. Come on, guys. We can get that to 40. Surely, with 56 viewers, you haven't paid your entry fee. I'm going to start kicking you out if you haven't paid your entry fee, which is, of course, a like. And if you feel like subscribing, if you feel like the content is half decent, then I would appreciate a sub. It's the easiest way. Hit the sub button, then hit the notifications bell, because pretty much I don't have a schedule. I'm not a schedule person. I just jump on when I've got something to talk about, something that inspires me to talk about. And I don't keep many secrets, as you may know from my previous videos. So if you're enjoying, look at that, we bumped straight to 42. Awesome work, guys. If you want to follow along and join me, and is this a pretty good time for most of you? Is this a pretty good time? Hopefully it is. All right, if you're new to the NFT space, make sure you go and check out Zed Run. It's a phenomenal concept where not only do you have the collectability of an NFT, but you also have an interesting yield scenario where you can race your horses for money, you can also breed and sell for money, and you can also stud your horses for money. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but it is an interesting space with a lot of potential, which is very, very early. Here, I'm just laughing at me mate Heroine down here, wanting to have a look at Phantom Pacer. Get the stocks up. Get the stocks up. We all know Phantom Pacer is a great horse. We will have a look maybe in a minute. Oh, crikey, I just jumped past all those horses. Insane Breeze. This sounds like an Insane Him offspring, is it? Maybe, maybe not. Is it? Not bad, 14% over a long racing career. Yeah, Seijin, if that's how you pronounce it, I think is from Insane Him at some point. There he is, that's my horse. So this is an Insane Him grandchild. And in fact, of my, I guess, premium studs, being Grandeur, Breathless Edge, and Insane Him. Insane Him is the one that throws the most great racing genes relatively easily. And you can go to the what's it called? The roster page here, and you can type in Insane Hymn, Hymn, and you can see that his direct offspring are generally pretty good racers for legends. Okay, and you can see another grandkid here as an elite racer. We've come down the line a little further. 14% elite, not doing much in the couple of offspring that we've had there, but doing very, very well in its own right. Insane Breeze. Uncommonly Wise. Haven't heard of this one. Oh, this is probably from... Is this from My Horse as well, is it? Thanks for giving me an extra moment to talk up My Horses. If it is, yeah, it is. Common Muse. Okay, great to see. Great to see. I love this. And these are horses that I haven't heard of a lot of. I put some of these horses in the public stud at reasonable prices, really reasonable actually. I think Common Muse was in there for around $400-500, something like that, which I think was pretty good value. And I think all 7 went, so that suggests that it was probably a little bit cheap. But anyway, happy to do that. Common Muse itself is a really talented stallion, but not an A grade, not an elite. And when I say elite, I'm talking the top 1, 2, 3% horse. He's probably a top 10%, I would say comfortably, but not a top 5, not an elite, not up there with Insane Hymn and the likes of Supreme Polarity and these types of horses. But looks like can produce, which is really exciting, something special in the offspring. Okay, so this adds value to the horses that created them. Okay, once you start getting a history of producing horses like this, it adds value, okay? And that's why I put them out into the public breeding barn as a bit of a test. You guys breed with them, test with them, and get some really nice horses. So, exclusive level filly, absolutely great. The great thing about exclusive fillies is you can add Genesis stallions to them next breeding round, and they produce exclusive level horses. So you can keep essentially stacking genetics on genetics. Now there is probably, absolutely, almost certainly, a optimum level for doing so. So for example, you've got, you know, the blood of Common Muse here, just 1 generation removed currently in Uncommonly Wise, being a direct parent. But if you keep stacking, the potency or the percentage that you'll draw down from Common Muse's blood might get diluted. So there's kind of going to be a balance there of trying to maintain where you think the racing genetics are coming from. So if you think they are coming from Common Muse, and they may not be, they might be coming from Athena the Wise over on the other side here, we don't really know. But if you think they are coming from Common Muse, you may not want to continually breed out those genetics by adding more and more knacks on top. That's where the balance comes in. And there's an interesting breeding chart that's floating around on how Atari, or Atar, Doofy's horses, A-T-A-R apostrophe, which contains Breathless Edge twice in a relatively short space of time, which could help to strengthen the Breathless Edge genes in any particular horse. Okay, so continually breeding the same horse back in might be a way of doing that. So it's going to be complex, but it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we'll wrap this up in a minute. Thanks for tweeting out Zed Gazette. That's probably where all those numbers came from. I'll have to do a call out in future for all me, I don't do the Twitter or do Twitter, but for any Twitter viewers, to give me a shout out when you're watching. Who are we looking at? Phantom. I have no trouble looking at Phantom Pacer. It's one of my favourite horses. Look at this thing. Phantom Pacer, Z1 Genesis colt. It is, in my opinion, one of the elite colts. Probably roughly on the same level as Grandeur, I would think. Somewhere around about there. Probably not quite at Breathless Edge's level, but not many are. but certainly in the top few percent, this horse. How's it going for breeding? Oh, I didn't even see. Does it have? No, it's got 0. Okay, so that will be interesting to breed that with the best mares that we can find. Well, when I say we, Heroine, I probably won't be playing much part in that, to be honest. I hope to. I got a couple to look at that you can look at, Heroine, in Shimmer, and I think you quite like the look of Oh My Ether, which looks to be a really nice racer and has produced a couple of nice offspring early days too. So keep your eye on that one. Very, very nice. Doofy, Aussie in the house. Good to have you here, Doof. Yeah, I think Dan asks, have I heard of a collective investment stables like Whale Vault stables? I haven't myself, many pulling money to actually get some elite bloodlines. I think it's a great idea. And as I said before, I've got a couple of elite stallions in Grandeur, Breathless Edge and Insane Him. And if you have the investment to be able to pull big numbers from those guys, I would consider contacting someone like myself or someone like Heroine here that has an elite colt and asking for a deal to take all 7 in 1 month, to try and get all 7 in one go and match them up with either the best mares that I have or the best mares that they have. And that could be a way of really developing really strong bloodlines. Whether I would do that and allow you or allow someone to have those bloodlines, look, I probably would. But that's a good way of doing it, and it's also not a bad way of pulling that money and trying to buy some really, elite Genesis horses as well, much like Good Boy Racing has bought some really, really nice horses early days and building a really strong stable. 67 viewers, 51 likes. We're hitting record territory. We must have had some viewers tweet out, did we? Thank you if you did. I really appreciate it. Cadet, 62%. 1, 2, 3, 11, 12. Yeah, that sounds like a nice horse. Let's have a look. Whilst we got the big numbers, we may as well just keep chatting away, guys. Cadet, this one here. Cadet. Isn't Splitan Bob the Nailer? Is that Bob? Dave, maybe you just like this horse, Dave. I'm looking at the wrong horse, am I? 62%. Cadet. It's the wrong horse. It hasn't had a run, this thing. All right, Bob the Nailer. There you go. If you want to buy that, contact Bob the Nailer. Leo Amoralis. Leo, I've only got a little bit of me tea left and then we'll wrap this up. Leo Amoralis. Oh. I tell you what, it looks pretty sexy early days, doesn't it, Brian? Let's put him into the stats sheet here. You spell it. Leo Amoralis. Let's see what the odds he's getting. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but we'll see if it gives us any tips. Yeah, nice. Is that paid? So we're getting around $7 odds at 2002. Yeah, man. Yeah, Brian, you got something there. So it's a legendary. So legendaries this is a premium horse in my opinion for a legendary. You're getting $6, $7 odds at 2,200. I'd really like to see you test this horse at 1,600, 1,800 because my stats are suggesting that it might get even better down low. Coming from nothing overly special here. This is really interesting. So we can see that it's possible to draw down the absolute best genes from Better with Bacon and Thundering Pathos here and create something really, really special. And then you can see that you got Government Cheese here, which is looking reasonable as an offspring as well. So congratulations, mate. That's something, and I'm sure you might even get a couple of offers chasing you down for this guy after this video goes out for a little bit longer. Well done. It's a beauty. I would be interested in that horse myself. If you want to take a look at my stables or contact me via Discord, I would be interested in breeding with this guy for sure, with one of my better or best Z1 mares. So give me a shout if you want to entertain that thought. Where were we? Get me to 100 viewers. Woo! Let's go, 100 viewers. We will do it one day. We got 55 likes and 65 not subs. Hit the sub button if you would like. If you think the content's half worthy, then that would be much appreciated. But I'm not fussed. I'm here to have a chat, and I'm quite happy with the 400 or 500 we've got now. If that's all it ever stays at, it can be our little private chit chat club. I'm going to get Zed Gazette on in a week or two once I figure out how to get the Zoom stream audio into my Rodecaster setup. It shouldn't be too difficult. Right, a couple more and then we'll call it a day. Gandor. Is that what it was? Gandor? Where did I see that horse? I've lost it. Oh, there it is. Ador. Yeah, that looks like a pretty nice horse. Exclusive stallion, so it's going to cross over to elite next time you breed with this horse, but it looks really, really nice, absolutely. Oh, look, you're getting some results with your offspring too. So, you've got a Z10 at 18% there. That looks really nice. So you should be able to get some decent money either studding this horse or breeding and selling the offspring. Very, very nice. Again, congratulations. That's a beauty. Aaron Brockovich. Whoops. Let me just skip down a few here. Guys, I will come back. Did I lose? You can't find the like button, mate. Heroin, what's going on? You've been here heaps. So you mean to tell me that you've been here nearly every stream and never contributed a like? I should just hit you here and mute you. Can I do that? No, and I was only joking, by the way. Oh, now I've broken everything, have I? There we go. Tree from the Buttes, yeah. Zed, for you, mate, I will look up a horse. Give me a horse. Have you put it down yet? Doofy, we love Doofy. Go and check out Doofy. Actually, a shout out to Doofy. I didn't shout him out. I normally try and shout out all me mates on here. If you've already subscribed here and you want to go and check out some more awesome content, go and look up Doofy Racing on YouTube as well and give him a sub too. No, I think Pacer, as long as it's been, as long as the breeding has some sort of refinement to it, I think Pacer, if it's just blindly bred, and I'm answering UFO Nuts' question here, where would a Pacer stand in the overall scheme of things? I think Pacer, if you blindly breed anything without too much thought and without too much consideration for genetics or too much consideration for, the strength of races that you're breeding with, then I think by the time you get to Pacer, you've probably got a high likelihood of breeding something a bit iffy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. But I think if you breed carefully as you can all the way down, which is my tactic, it's going to take a lot longer to get to Pacer than just going randomly boom, 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 boom and breeding and crossing your fingers and hoping for the best of luck. But I think Pacer is a legitimate, I think all the pieces of the puzzle are there for some reason. Why are Legendary there? I think Legendary are there to consolidate the initial genetics of the genesis. So you're looking for the really strong Legendary races because they suggest that they have pulled the best bits down. Okay, and then why are the exclusives there? Well, the exclusives look to be there to start building the blocks together. So if you want to add grandeur with breathless edge and then maybe stack another grandeur in there, then maybe that's why the exclusives are there. And then why are the elites there? Well, maybe the elites are there to bring down a couple of exclusive lines and cross them and bring them together to consolidate. And then you can also stack more horses at the elite level and then cross them. So yeah, it's really fascinating how this will all come together. It's not going to be as easy as just going boom, boom, boom and breeding blindly to get the elite races. I think the person that gets to the cross level with a gun breed first is going to have something really special, is my hunch. A little frustrated, Doofy. Yeah, we all have those moments. I was a little frustrated yesterday, and that's why I didn't stream yesterday. There was some negative stuff going on in the Zed world that I wasn't happy with. But, you know, love, guys. Everyone try and help. And, you know, we always get a bit frustrated and a bit short some days. Try and stay off the Discord if you're feeling a bit shitty like that. You know, we're all there to help the newbies and offer love and offer this incredible community that we're building. And if you happen to have one of those days where you feel like you can't offer that, then try and have a day off. Now, I'm not suggesting that Doofy's feeling that way because he's always a bloody legend and always helping everyone. I was more talking about why I was frustrated at some of the attitude that I was watching yesterday. Okay, good time. This is a good time zone. Okay, let me skim through. We're going to wrap this up in a minute. It's been great time here in the US. Awesome. Okay, I'll try and do this around the 9, 10 o'clock a.m. my time. Zed Gazette, I'm not referring to you, mate. I'm not referring to you. Oh, come on, hero. And 7:45 a.m. You'll be right. Where are you, mate? You must be 7:45 a.m. So are you a Kiwi, mate? Are you over that way? Oh, no, sorry. I'm going the wrong way. Must be like Perth. Are you a Perth or somewhere around there, mate? Aiden says, how much is a grandeur offspring? Around 4 or 5 ETH. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Depends on how good they are. But give me reach out on Discord if you're interested at that level. And if you're wondering if I've just knocked your socks off with that valuation, go right back to the start of the video and you'll have a better understanding of why they are worth that much. Possible mare, Erin Brockovich. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Let's have a look at that horse. Singapore. Okay, that makes sense. Singapore. Let's have a look at Erin Brockovich, and then that might do. We'll do one more question after that. I am enjoying myself here, so is that how you spell Erin? Hopefully. Z6. Bloodlines are we dealing with here? Yeah, it's a nice, Satoshi Nakamoto, okay. It's certainly got a nice win rate there at 17%. It's on the borderline. I would consider it. Hit me up on the chat anyway, and we'll see what we can do. Sounds good, Heroine. Yeah, I love to work together. Obviously, you've got that Phantom Pacer, mate, Heroine, and then we'll do a reverse switch with Grandeur or Breathless Edge or something like that. I know that you have some nice mares there too. Absolutely lit. I've had my eye on for a while. I know I've skipped a couple here. Let me just go down the bottom, make sure there's any questions. Anyone know if there's... I don't know if paid races are running. These ones I'm going to have to skip these horses. Come back next live. Lots of support here today, guys. 58 likes, 65 viewers, 64 viewers. Hit that sub button if you enjoy what we're doing, but if you don't, no big deal. I quite enjoy our little crew that we've got going here. I'm going to have to skip a lot of these horses. I'll come back up the top. Yeah, I agree, Zed Gazette. It depends on a lot of things, but I think up to 8 ETH is 4 to 10 is right in the zone for these elite offspring. Absolutely. I tend to run mine and then sell them based on how talented they look to be as a racer. And that is because of the way that I want to breed. I'm looking for the best legends or the best bred horses to continue the bloodline. So then I'm obviously selling off the others. If I was to sell them unraced, they might have to fetch a bit more of a premium because I don't know, I might be selling this absolute monster of a legend that I would really prefer to have kept. So I got to sort of sell them as an unscratched lotto ticket, which might fetch, sort of more towards that 8 to 10 mark. What are you doing going to work, heroine? Just quit your job. No, don't take that advice. Don't take that advice from me. Okay, I'm just scanning back up now to see who was the next in line for a horse review. Was it this one? There was Aaron. Cannonball Fun is higher. All right, that'll be the one. Is drinking beer acceptable at this hour? Depends where you are, mate. In Australia, drinking beer at any hour is acceptable to some degree. I love me beer. Guess what? I've had 8 months off today, off alcohol. Can you believe that, guys? Imagine. Who did I say? Cannonball Fun. There it is. Looks nice. Z9. Oh, Z9 Genesis. Hello. Very nice. Decent offspring there. Yeah, it's a solid horse. That's a solid horse. Let's have a look. One quick look at his odds. Cannon. Is it all one word? Cannonball. Fun. See if he's in a paid or a freebie. If this is all paid, you've got something really special here. Oh, I'm a bit suspect seeing those initial odds. Oh no, it's okay. I thought, because there was some 36 to 1ers, I thought, this horse may not be too good. Maybe it's free racer. I'm not sure if you're mainly concentrating on the 1,000 and 1,200, but that looks like the places to run at, particularly the 1,000. You've got 33% win rate over 15 races, according to my stats, at an average odds of 7.42. So that is absolutely spectacular at that level, but it drops off really, really quickly. You've got only 11% win rate at 1,200 at 9.56 odd average, and then no percent win rate at nearly odds of 12s at 1,400. Similar no percent at odds of nearly 37 at 1,600. It gets better again as you get back out to the 24 and 2,600, but focus on 1,000 and you can probably lift this win rate, well above 20, I would imagine, with any luck. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. This has been our biggest stream to date with 57 currently watching, 59 likes. Thank you. If you've managed to hit the sub button as well, we do this 2 or 3 times a week when I'm feeling like it. So there's no schedule. So the best way to catch me is to hit the sub and then hit the notification, and you'll get a notification. If you've got YouTube open, particularly on your phone or whatnot, it will give you a little blip, and you can jump on and get your questions or your horse reviews at the top of the chat here, at the top of the chat. Brian, where am I getting these odds? I've got a sheet connected to the API that brings in those odds. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Be kind to everyone in the chat. Be nice. Be helpful. And I will see you next time, maybe tomorrow or the next day. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.